Hello everyone. So today I'm just going to be painting this adorable robin in my watercolour journal. Um, so just like my other paintings that I've been doing for this December, this is a 300 GSM speedboard journal, so it's good paper. So I'll just leave a little note there. So I just went ahead and I used one of my largest brushes just to wet the page, and as I've said a couple of times before, this paper, because it's good paper, it's more damp than soaking wet, so I just thought I'd leave that note there. So I've just went ahead and I'm starting off with sap green, and I think I've mixed in some indigo there just to deepen up the colour. I wanted, although these aren't matching spreads, although now looking back at it, I wish I had made them matching so they connected, but it doesn't matter. But I did want to go for the sort of same colour scheme so they matched each other but not identical, if that makes sense. So I'm just going around messing around with the background. So I was getting a lot of indigo, and I was also getting some cadmium red hue because I wanted to do little dots with a wet on wet technique, so it looks like there's berries in the background in the tree that the robin is sitting in. And then I've basically just going around and messing around with the background just until I was happy with it. So here I am going ahead and drying my paintbrush and then doing the bokeh or bokeh, I still don't know how you say it, the bokeh effect, just to add some interest in the background. I guess I was trying to make it look frosty, because I've used a bit of masking fluid to make the snowfall and the snowflakes in the background, but I always I've been obsessed with using the bokeh effect recently to add a bit more depth, I guess, what was I going for. So now then I went ahead and I just did some splatters around the page, and now I'm working on the branch itself, and that's Van Dyke Brown. And then I think I did the same thing that I usually do, where I use the wet technique. I add some indigo to my brown, there we go, and then I just paint under the branch so it looks like a shadow, and then I just let it go where it wants. So that's what I was doing there, and now I'm going around and I'm adding some branches. I did this side, oh sorry, I tripped over my words. I did decide this time to go ahead and pick a smaller brush from my collection so I could get some more detailed, smaller branches, because obviously I wanted the branch that the robin is sitting on to be the main focus. So these branches up here weren't really planned. I planned to do the bottom branches, but not these ones. I just thought that adding the branch at the top would frame the robin a bit more, the whole painting. But these winter berries here weren't planned. They were a moment, spur of the moment. That's a description I was going for. The word escaped me, spur of the moment. So now I'm going ahead and taking that Van Dyke brown with the mix of indigo, and I'm going to use a lot of water to lighten it up, because now I want to make a beige colour, and I'm going to start on the robin itself. So at this point of the painting, this was nerve-wracking for me because I liked how the background was looking, and I love painting birds, but I don't know, I would say I struggle with them just because of their details, and I always have trouble getting their beak correct, because if you look at a bird, one of the main points to tell the difference between different species is the shape of their beak. So if I don't draw them correctly, they might look like a different bird to what I was actually drawing, if that makes sense. So I was going around painting it a bit timidly, but in all honesty, I was so happy with how the robin turned out in the end. So I don't know, I quite liked the whole process of this piece. I mean, there have been paintings that I've been proud of, but there are always those little things that you think you could have done better, but I don't know, I quite like this one. I enjoyed this one. And then I dropped my paintbrush, and I was very happy it didn't actually get any pigment on the paper itself. And while I'm watching this, I've noticed that my camera's still doing that thing where it tries to zoom in on my hand when I move my hand and it looks like it's flashing. So I'm sorry about that. I still haven't figured out how to fix that yet, so that could be a little bit annoying. So now I'm going and I'm getting cadmium orange hue just to go over top of that lighter orange I did for the robin's breast. And then I think I just darkened up my other grey with just a touch of indigo to make it darker. And now I'm going ahead and using that brown mix on the tail. And then I'm doing a Van Dyke brown with a more pigment than water just so I can get some shadows. And I think that's a wet and wet technique I'm doing there, but it was more damp than soaking wet. The paper, I mean. The paper, I mean. So now I'm going around and I was just adding little wispy bits of feathers coming out of the wings because I don't know, I didn't think I detailed it enough, because in winter robins tend to puff out their I guess their feathers. They tend to puff out their feathers with warm air. So now I'm going ahead and taking my small brush and I'm going to start working on the eye. I was trying to be very careful here. And then obviously the daunting part, which I mentioned earlier, was doing the beak. And I did mess up. So all I did was I wiped away my brush and just tried to fix it, and then ended up just dabbing it and getting rid of it completely with a tissue. And then I'm going in and giving it another try, and this time it turned out, I don't want to say perfect, but it turned out good enough for me. And then I'm going ahead with my Shaw and Marsh acrylic marker, and I'm going around and adding the snow to the top of the berries, and then adding some snowflakes around the whole painting itself. And at this point, I did actually realise, you'll see, I'll do it in a second, I forgot to actually paint his feet, the robin's feet there. You'll see that they're white, and I'll notice in a minute and I correct it. And then I'm just adding little bits of snow onto the branches here and there. And I'm going around now adding the snowfall. I try to do different pressure on the pen, so some of the snowflakes turn out bigger and some of them are smaller. So that's why I like the nib on this pen, because you can apply different pressures to get different sizes. And then I think that's pretty much all finished. I hope you enjoyed watching. Feel free to leave me a comment. Bye!